Hello, everyone, and welcome to Littlefield live streaming. Tonight's podcast is the Katie Halper Show and Struggle Session. Now, please welcome your hosts, Katie Halper, Leslie Lee, and Jack Allison.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
I
think my audio has now suddenly messed up somehow, but I'll try to work so that I can hear everybody.
Whoa.
Again.
See, they're already coming for us.
I don't know what
They're
happened.
already
Just
coming
give me a
for us.
moment.
If you don't know, the theme of the show for tonight will be the intellectual dark web, because we are all members of it, including our guests. We have been censored, we have been silenced, but we are
There we go.
Oh, here we go. Maybe it wasn't the tech overlords. Maybe it was just.
No, it was. They were just testing.
No, it was.
They were flexing,
but
and we won.
I'm frankly stronger than they are. I'm frankly stronger than they are, and I overpowered them this time.
Yeah, because you got backup.
Yeah, I do.
Well, thank you so much. It's so good to see you, Katie. So good to see you, Jack, on this wonderful evening. I am Leslie.
Oh, back on the stage at Littlefield is always good. I'm Jack Allison.
I'm Katie Halper, and I feel so at home back on this stage.
Yeah,
this
here we are
at Littlefield in Brooklyn.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Zoom, on YouTube, on Facebook.
Whatever video streaming application that you're using, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We appreciate your support. If you bought tickets, thank you so much for supporting us, as well as the venue, Littlefield NYC. We talked about this on the last virtual live show we did. They reached out to us and suggested, hey, let's do a live show, because our venues need to keep running. Obviously, they're not getting help from anyone else anytime soon, it seems like it. But your support and this great venue that has so many great shows and hosts a lot of progressive and leftist, shows like Chapel Trap House, Street Fight Radio, us. They're just such a wonderful venue, and we're also donating some of the proceeds to charity. With the charity Make the Road in NYC, and just thank you so much for donating. If you didn't buy tickets yet, that's fine. If you're watching on YouTube, that's fine, but you can still donate if you enjoy the show. As we said, we have a policy where you can watch the whole show, and then if you end up liking it, you can donate. And you just hit up the venue for Littlefield. And their is at Littlefield NYC. That's the Venmo at Littlefield NYC. For anybody unsure about whether or not the show is going to be great, you can wait till the end. Okay, you can freeload until then.
I'm tweeting out that we're doing it right now. I'm trying to get even more people here right now.
Right, we're just giving you guys time to come over. Yeah, everyone shared this link.
Yeah, everybody share this link.
Even if you're freeloading, a way you can pay back your freeloading, which you're going to pay back at the end because you're going to love this show and definitely donate. But in the meantime, you could just share a link. That's
just share a link. Just share a link. That's as good as voting, pretty much.
I mean, look, it's maybe better.
No.
So before we get into our show tonight, we kind of have to talk about the show that we were going to do when we originally planned this. Right. When we were asked to do the show, we actually did not want to do anything before the election because we thought it would be so intense. People would be so angry about this election. People like the election derangement syndrome, that it just ramps up. People get so angry and so partisan until something happened that I thought would really unite the whole country.
And we kind of sunk a lot of money and resources into that particular outcome, which at the time that we were first planning this show felt very, very, very likely. It felt very likely at that time. But now it kind of, didn't shake out that way. But, we did sink a lot of money into getting a piece edited. And I think it's still a good piece.
Feedback and edits and re-edits and
and it is what it is. Yeah, we put a lot of money, we put a lot of, and more importantly, we put a lot of talent. Put a lot of talent into it. Yeah, we put a lot of talent into it. So I think if everyone's okay with it, I'd still like to show it now. This is just a piece that we were preparing for.
We had planned for the show, but yeah, check it out.
So give me just a moment here. Okay. Is somebody else sharing the screen? It says you cannot share while the other participant is sharing. Is anybody sharing? Oh no, there we go. I'm good. I'm good.
Again,
nice try, Elon Musk.
Yeah, enough
we
with
got
this shit.
Number.
Okay, here we go.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer live from New York. President Trump just tweeted moments ago that he and the First Lady have tested positive for the coronavirus.
You know, this is something that really could have brought everybody together.
That is Marine One there landing at the White House where the president
Do you remember this?
The chopper a short distance to Walter Reed. We're hearing
this was really a wonderful time.
A beautiful weekend. We were so
what
naive.
Could have been? What could have been?
What
could have been? We were so hopeful. We were so hopeful back then. We were so hopeful.
What would have happened? We would have had Biden, right? Or Pence.
Pence. You know,
but you're right. But it still would have been a lovely thing. Even
it would have been. It would have been a nice, affirming thing. Yeah. There we go. So we got this prepared a couple weeks ago, and you know,
I heard there were secret code,
and you know, it doesn't. I don't know that it plays as well, frankly. To be honest with you, now that we're a couple weeks, things
he was very charming, and we had a great sparkle. He came with a date, so
Jack's lowered the
sound a little bit.
Okay,
and
sorry,
I said I will not give you my number.
That's always an auspicious beginning.
Yeah, we really expected that we would be here just to remember and commemorate life and time.
We weren't spoiled would be laughing.
Donald J. Trump.
We were spoiled with great education.
I thought we would be done for.
But we weren't the kids showing up to college with, a Ferrari. We always had to sort of earn what it is.
Oh, look at Tiffany. Look at Tiffany.
Oh yeah.
It is my esteemed pleasure to introduce Mr. Mrs. Donald Trump.
you saw her baby.
When he started to get along so well with Black.
Oh, remember when?
We all remember it was different back then.
Samantha, a cosmopolitan, Donald Trump. You just don't get more New York than that.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me.
Down the hall into
Wow, really sad.
Really sad.
I mean, I'm getting a little bit choked up.
I mean,
at the WWE.
Oh, sorry. I'll have to. Oh my God.
Oh,
everybody
Jack.
has to come back. Sorry, I fucked up the thing. I'll have to bring it back up really quickly.
I think
Hang
part
on a
of the
second
reason
here.
Though that he didn't.
I was trying to do the volume is the issue. It was very difficult to get the volume done.
It really is. Yeah. I think that maybe you also thought that he would die because you had tweeted, "I hope he dies."
And I got in big trouble.
And then you got your Twitter account.
I got in big trouble for a week. So I'm like, at that point, you really feel like well, what do they know at this point? They're suspending me for a week.
Yeah, like
suspending me for a week on this.
Yeah, it must be very serious.
Oh, I thought it was the opposite.
What does Jack know?
I thought it was like if they let you have that up there for a week, it maybe could have pushed him over the edge.
They were trying to psychically protect.
Yeah, they were giving it because they knew the dark psychic forces that Jack was emitting.
Yeah, so many people were delivering hopes and prayers to Trump. I just want to ask them, are they happy that their prayers were answered?
Sure, Rachel Maddow was. Well, yeah. I mean, else are they going to get millions of dollars per night on MSNBC?
Okay, so sorry, I'm gonna get it back up right now so that we can watch the remainder of the Trump in memoriam.
It really is a beautiful video.
But they really were praying for him to make
there we
it.
go.
But just because out of
there we go. Oh
WWE.
Wow. Yeah, we all.
Yeah, that
remember.
was that's
so
oh
my God.
The clothesline.
That was a wonderful time. Wow.
Can you? How do you?
What a life.
Donald John Trump do solemnly swear.
I mean,
if I will faithfully execute.
We did talk about this. If he had passed away then,
President of the United
what a story.
What would be the ultimate? He would be the ultimate showman of all time. If he passed away 1 month before the election. Now he's just weak.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
I mean, look at Elizabeth Warren right there.
Where?
There they are.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy Pelosi.
She's blessing his body. She's doing a spiritual thing.
Wow.
Oh Michelle Obama. I mean, just remember, look at the Trump family coming together in front of the Obamas.
Wow.
People don't really understand the significance of it. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. So we have a narrative arc here too. I mean, we really spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah, no, this is a real deal in memoriam.
Is that like a Big Think video?
Oh man.
Back into
Big Ideas. What is it? Big Think? Big Think, is that the company?
Wow. This is just
I you know, it really was it's a full-on in memoriam video that's 5 minutes long that we had made. It's a full-length in memoriam video for Trump.
It's just so
such a bummer that I mean, obviously, it's just it does not work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work now. It's, you know, it feels
sometimes art is
off.
timeless. This one feels weird. Though.
This one does feel weird and kind of like really of a specific time. Yeah.
I mean, but that's why it's important to show. It's a time capsule of when things could have been better.
What the feelings were like at that time. What the vibe was like.
In a way, that's pre COVID survival Trump. That man is dead.
Yeah, that's true. That man is dead. He's a shell of a man. He's a different weird guy now.
He's much stronger now. He got all
Perhaps,
that out of his system.
He's on Regeneron. Wow.
I got it out of my system. I'm healthy as a horse.
We really had a full length, you know, in memoriam made for this guy, and he didn't pull it off.
David Custer in the chat does say that it feels like a victory lap for Trump. Now, I guess you're not wrong, David. But we made that video. We have to show it. We have to share it.
It's such a bummer, you know. It is such a bummer, but it would have worked better. It would have worked better.
If
it would have worked better
differently.
I feel like it would have been too on the nose if he'd actually died.
Okay, so it's kind of like avant-garde. It's like surreal or something like that.
So, Katie, you are basically like on the Maddow camp. It's like we need to keep this guy around.
We need that Patreon money.
Omaha, Nebraska. Sheriff gets out of his buggy. Says, "How's Mrs. Smith doing?" to the local miller. At that point, the miller wasn't doing too well because he had an infected kidney. Anyway.
Well, yeah, no. This you could write for Rachel. You're very good at the preambles. You're getting very good at the preambles.
I'm getting so close to being good at them. I saw a thing, by the way, her house, I don't know why this came up. It was some like clickbait, and it was like the houses of really rich people, and hers was one of them. And they have a really nice house in Massachusetts, she and her wife, and it has like an outhouse, like a huge bathroom that's outdoors. Okay. But it's like so she can watch TV and football in there.
I'm sorry, like a big like while she takes a shit.
It's like it looks like almost like an anti. Apparently they don't. I don't know. It's like they're rustic vibe going on there. So you're not supposed to be on TV, like listening to TV. So she watches football or TV in there.
Okay, so it's an outhouse.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, the outhouse with a large TV.
Yeah.
Ceiling Cat in the chat says he could still pass before the end of the term. That is very possible, and I'm glad we have that video ready.
Yeah,
it's like the obituary.
The millions we put into it.
Yeah. It's like the obituary at the newspapers. Didn't a couple people post?
There was a Pence one. There was like that Pence got sick. That was posted by Deadline, and everybody truly at that time, everyone was like, "What does Deadline know?" And I'm like, "Deadline doesn't know shit." Deadline just like.
Do you think Trump got them to do that or something?
I think that they just pre-wrote one because it was rumored because like one of Trump's Pence's staffers got COVID. So like they just pre-wrote an article. There were no real specifics in it. Like I think that they just had one ready to go and somebody hit the go button
instead
accidentally.
Of the save?
Yeah, I think so.
You know who we should have gotten on the show is Claudia what's her name? Conway?
Oh, Claudia TikTok Conway.
Yeah.
TikTok Claudia Conway. You know, I think that the Conways will have some kind of Republican reality show before
they already
too
have
long.
It basically.
I mean,
TikTok,
at this point, you know, yeah. I thought it was really funny, and actually, I do think that I don't know what the fuck goes on with the Conways. That girl has said that the parents are abusive and everything like that, and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound good. No. But there are videos where Claudia Conway is like, you know, Kellyanne Conway is like in the room with her, like telling her what she needs to say, and I'm like. Okay, Kellyanne Conway does comms. I'm like, Kellyanne Conway is like, well, this is like a media platform, and here I am, like running comms in here. Like, I was like, this is pretty wild to witness, actually.
Yeah.
But that was the show we were going to do. But we have a different, I think, really good show.
A good show, I think.
And let's if it's all right with the hostess with the most, Katie Halper, if we can get into it now.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right. So our first guest, he is the host of the wonderful podcast, The Discourse. You may know him as Chad Vigorous, as you may know him as Pretty Bad Lefty on Twitter. I just know him as my good friend, Brandon Sutton. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me, Leslie.
Oh man, it's so good to have you on.
Good to see you again. Yeah.
But I do feel bad now because I just realized that you, like Trump, did survive COVID and come back stronger. And I don't know if that video was
triggering.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, as somebody, a COVID survivor, I can't feel 20 years younger than I do now because that'd make me like 8 or 9. And you don't want any 9-year-olds on your podcast, right?
Right. I think it's illegal. Yeah.
Child labor laws.
Yeah.
Child labor laws.
We learned that the hard way.
But no, I honestly, I found it to be quite moving. I hope you would have made one for me like that if I had,
Oh, we have
one.
we
already have one.
Yeah, we have one ready to go. We're just, we just have to have it in the hopper.
I didn't know about that investment. I didn't know about that investment.
We prepared eulogy videos for everybody, kind of on the left.
Got it. Including Trump.
Yeah.
But Brandon, reason I brought you on because it's Halloween, it's spooky season, and you're one of my favorite minds on horror, and the world is horrible. And so I feel like a lot of people are retreating into watching scary movies just to feel better about what's going on outside. And I want to ask you, which movies can we watch to make us feel better about what's going on?
Well, now that you ask, I remember when the pandemic first started and a bunch of pandemic movies became really popular, overnight, like Contagion, that one with, let's say, Matt Damon.
Right. I don't think it's Matt Damon, but I do remember that became very popular.
Who's the one who runs in all his movies?
It feels Tom Cruise, but
it's a Matt Damon. You're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's a Matt Damon.
It is Matt Damon.
It felt like a Damon.
Outbreak is the Dustin Hoffman Outbreak.
Exactly. Yeah, people took to start watching pandemic movies, zombie movies. I'm not really into that kind of thing personally, so I've been retreating more into the old school slashers, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Scream. Yeah, a little bit more comforting. You don't see, we hear so much about suburban moms ruling our political class. It's nice to have like somebody in a mask just mowing through that neighborhood.
I never thought about, but Michael could be just an anti-Karen activist. Really, truly want to think about it.
That's a really good horror movie, like reboot, is just a villain who's now only killing Karens.
Is that really a villain though?
I know. Well, that's what makes it so good.
The anti-character. Yeah.
That's what makes it so good.
Like Karens and Kens. You have to get some Kens too as well.
Of course. Yeah. Well, it's a movie.
Not every protagonist is a hero. Some of them are just,
right.
Some of them are more complicated than that.
Right.
I took an English class in college one time.
Yeah. Mr. Ripley.
I didn't do well, but I took it.
Oh, all right. Well, you live to tell the tale.
So I have a clip from a horror movie that's brand new, and this is a very special treat for our audience. It just barely has come out, and
I know
they reached out to us. The people who produced this movie reached out to us. They heard about our live show going on. It's like, can you please debut this clip from our horror film? Now, I do want to warn everybody, this is one of the most terrifying.
Oh, it's pretty horrifying, and there's spoilers for a movie that just came out.
For a horror movie that just came out. Yeah.
But we're going to share it with you. So please, it's
pretty
if you
grim.
scare easily, maybe just open up another tab in the back.
Yeah.
But it's if Jack, if you can go ahead and roll this footage.
All right, let's do it.
Kellyanne Conway sent it.
No problem.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it truly is.
Thank you again for giving me this time. Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
I mean, the on-miss music, I'm already terrified.
Is this added music or is this the music?
Oh, they play it. They play it.
All right, and the name of this movie, I believe, is Borat's second movie film.
Secondary
Yeah, it's you know, subsequent movie film.
And it's foreign film, right? Foreign horror film, yeah.
Yeah, foreign horror.
Oh,
I mean, foreign produced, but made here.
It's really grim.
15. She's too old for you.
Why are you dressed
She's my daughter. Please take me and test my honor.
Oh my god.
I'm better than him.
No, I better. My back pussy very tight.
No, please, my problem.
Please, I will let you enjoy my thumb in your mouth.
No, I better.
That's just funny. It's pretty good.
I was
Oh my god.
I have techniques with my mouth.
What's going on here? Look at this guy.
I forbid this union.
So he's worried about the
You are leaving the hotel
guy, not the 15-year-old girl.
That's right.
Oh my god.
That's
oh
right.
my god.
No, it's good. It's a good
So
scene.
obviously that's to be I wanted to wait until the show to watch that. I did not believe it. I convinced myself that it would not be that bad because everybody was talking about it before it came out.
Right. It's like the Hunter Biden thing. It's not real. It's fake. So
Right. Everybody has said it. Yeah, we just think everything. Yeah, like Rudy's like, it's fake. It was just fake. I mean, it is like, this is like an edited movie or whatever, but also that is Rudy Giuliani laying on a bed and sticking his fucking hand down his pants.
Yeah.
Brandon, can you please analyze, that brief clip of that horror film?
I'm just struck by the hand makeup. Whoever did I want to say, whoever the Nicotero of this movie was, whoever the graphic designer was, or whoever did that hand prosthetic that Giuliani used to reach into his pants to choke himself. For me, that's what sold
very
it.
realistic.
That's what
very,
sold it.
very realistic. Yeah,
I was wondering where it was going. I was like, is this some sort of interview with the vampire reboot? In some sort of weird Korean type Grudge remake. Now his skin's turning all pale and gray. It just turns out to be I don't know, some sort of weird Eastern European, Serbian hostile type thing. So it was really a roller coaster of genre.
Wow. Yeah, really, it really was. It really was.
No, Katie, this man was your mayor for 20 years.
Mhm.
How do you feel seeing that? I mean, this is a man you trusted.
This is a man I trusted. In
Voted
fact,
for several times.
I voted for him. I write him in every mayoral election. I've been voting for Giuliani ever since. I mean, there may be photographic evidence of me with him. Maybe.
Oh, really?
Jack,
yes.
Did you get the email I sent you?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
let me pull this up right here.
Sorry. Now that I teased it. I have a whole archive of me with very reactionary people that my enemies think are taken in in earnest. So I got a photo of me with Herman Cain, Sean Hannity.
R.I.P. Herman.
I know.
I
mean,
know.
I don't understand why if someone besides Trump had done to Herman Cain what Trump did to him.
There we go. Oh my God.
Look at
You're
that.
Canceled.
Look at the hat. Do you see my hat? Do you see what my hat says?
Oh, that's the real bad part.
Does it say Obama for president?
It's a camo hat. Yeah. I ran into him in Denver.
Wow.
Ran into him in Denver. Yeah.
Wow.
And the sparks flew.
Oh, he's looking
then
good.
We went to an Amway party. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
We went to an Amway party or something.
It
It was at the was that Denver? It was at the RNC. It was at the DNC. No, it was at the RNC. I guess so. That was in Minnesota, but I definitely was at a party with him, and he was like, and he gave a speech. He's like, I know Obama. I know these types from New York. They're not good people. They're like bad people. That was his analysis. Yeah.
I want to say I don't judge you, Katie, because I'm also from New York, and it's easy to forget now that before Mayor Pete was around, Giuliani was America's mayor.
It's
true. Was, yeah.
Whoa. Okay, no, it was the Yankees, man. We hated. I have a bone to pick with New Yorkers. I see you rolling your eyes, Brandon. I have a bone to pick with you. You picked the worst mayors in the world, and then you inflict it on the rest of them.
Dinkins is America's mayor.
No, Rudy Giuliani was America's mayor because after 9/11, he stood on the rubble with the flag or some shit. I don't remember because I was 11 or something. I mean, it's all irrelevant now because we don't care when a bunch of American die. So, but back in the day, it seemed like a big deal. So after that, he was America's mayor. He made a play for the president of the United States just on the back of having been the mayor of New York during 9/11. And so and then Pete started becoming America's mayor, and Giuliani started to decay because his powers were being absorbed. Very Highlandery. But that's now it seems silly, but Giuliani was like a tastemaker in America for a while.
Okay, so I feel that, but
there was more. Do we want to look at more comedy from Giuliani from around that time when he was America's mayor? I have a great clip. From SNL from around that time when he was America's mayor. Let me just share this right here. This is what comedy used to look like with Giuliani.
Oh wait, is it? Oh no, okay.
Tonight, you're mine.
And turn it down a little bit.
Okay. There we go.
It's pretty
What year is this from?
This is from like
you
2001.
Give your love.
Post 9/11 world.
It is post 9/11, and it's like Tina Fey. You'll see.
Yeah, turn it down a little bit more.
Of love is in
Turn
your
it way down.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
But will you love me tomorrow?
That's Tina Fey. That's
Yeah,
that's the
Tina Fey.
resistance.
What's his name?
Right there.
Fallon, right?
There's Tina Fey, like flirting with Giuliani.
Uh-oh.
This is for you, Julie. This is for you, Rudy.
Why? Why?
Because he was America's mayor.
He was America's mayor back then.
Shout out to Hansy in the chat.
Good a singer as you think he would be.
Katie, Ricky Wang says that you're the Borat of the left.
Thank you.
Richie, America's federal prosecutor. Yes.
His dad got arrested like doing something bad in a bathroom, I think.
Well, didn't he marry his
cousin
or something like that?
Yeah, I think she worked with my mom or something.
Huh.
Oh, was this the one where they gave us permission to laugh again? I remember that. Was this the same episode?
I think it might have been. It definitely was around that time. I'm not sure if either Rudy was there for that one episode and they did a bunch with him, or he was coming back around there all the time. Both are very plausible.
Wow. So what do we think? What is next? I mean, this is a man at like the highest rungs of power caught trying to sleep with a 15-year-old, what he thought was a 15-year-old, on film, on a movie that's on Amazon Prime. Like everybody in the country can watch this movie and see this and know what this man did. What if anything will happen or be the result of this?
I actually think the conservatives are so disgusting and the GOP is so disgusting that it's going to be just fine for Rudy with like the stuff that he does. I think that they think he's a clown a little bit, but I don't think that they give a shit. And I also think that for anybody, like, I think that they're all going to be like, it's an edited deceptively thing. Anyone would do that in that position. And like, you know, it's also Jeff Bezos, Amazon, and, you know, the Hollywood liberals and all this shit. Like, I actually think that like the context of it kind of makes it worse. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that there's a really good opening for Giuliani, which is that you go for the methods, right? As you said, Jack, I think once on my show, you said talking about the methods is such loser shit. And that was a reference to Hunter Biden.
Right.
And it's like, that's what they can do. They should just say this is disinformation. They don't have to deny what Giuliani
it's so easy.
did. It's just
so
about
easy.
the methods.
They just get to say like it's deceptively edited. It's Amazon. It's Hollywood. You know, very easy.
Yeah. They really should lean into what the Dems do.
I just really think that like, we live in a world now where none of it matters. Like if they caught you know, a Democrat in some James O'Keefe video doing something really fucked up, all the liberals would be like, well, it's not real because it's James O'Keefe. You know what I mean? And like, you know, in some ways they'd be right because that's also deceptively edited stuff. Like maybe we shouldn't try to like hang all of our real presidential news on like the upcoming Amazon comedy movie, even though it's a very funny movie and the scene is fucking insane.
I disagree, Jack. We should absolutely.
I feel like I'm reconsidering all of Lenny Riefenstahl's work because, you know, there's a lot, the power of editing.
I want to say I also disagree. I think that all of our political like reveals should come via like prank show type scenarios. I think we should bring back Shannon Dorothy's scare tactics and just have like, you know, just have Shannon Doherty from Charms just entrapping senators into like vaguely surreal horror movie skits to get them to admit to corruption. Like, I don't know.
I agree. Actually, you know what? If I guess we should just go all the way. You know, if Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be the only person who's willing to, frankly, I think that maybe everybody that's like around Epstein would be very easy to entrap into like a child sex thing.
Well,
so
Jack,
easily.
you heard this happen, right? Like he literally was doing some stuff, and he had to report it to the FBI.
And
Sacha Baron Cohen?
Sacha Baron Cohen was in Vegas, and he was like playing an oil baron or something like that. And I think this was for the Bruno movie. And he like was talking to like the concierge, and he's like, I have a problem. I like young boys or whatever. And he's like, can you get me anything to help me with that? And the guy was like, yeah, we actually like I know people that can like get that, can do that for you. And they gave the footage to the FBI. They were like, this has been, you know, someone that worked with billionaires and stuff like that. And the FBI was pretty much just like, we don't give a shit. They didn't look into it, like, which just does make you go like, what the hell? But anyway.
No, exactly. That's why I think my idea of having it be a scary prank show type scenario at least has the benefit of them being punished in the moment. Like, I don't know, you take them out to like the woods for one of their like weirdo pedo parties or some shit that they do. I don't know, burning owl skulls. Like, I can't keep up with that shit anymore.
We truly do need the candid camera Bohemian Grove. That's what we need.
And then you have like some dude in a Bigfoot costume just like rampage in the woods and going crazy. Like, did you see that video from Sarah Palin where she's just all whacked out, like shooting a Blair Witch Project in her backyard? Like, yeah, that could be a fun thing to do. And then if the FBI doesn't look into it, well, you know what? Still some billionaires thought they were going to be eaten by a Bigfoot. I'm sorry, Big's feet. I don't know the plural.
Good. Yeah, I don't know either. But
big.
Do you remember
Big's
when
feet? I think
Sarah
Big's
Palin,
feet. I think it is Big's feet. Yeah.
Do you remember Sarah Palin was on that? What's that show? The Masked Dance. I'm so bad at pop culture.
The Masked Singer. The Masked Singer. Yeah.
The Masked
Singer.
Did you see when she was on that?
I did see when she was on that.
Remember the song she did to that? It was
what the hell did song?
I
what
like
the hell
big
song?
butts and I cannot lie.
Oh my god.
Oh yes, I remember that. Oh god, terrible. Yeah. One of the worst moments of whiteness.
That was a very surreal night, if I remember correctly, because that the credits from Sarah Palin singing "I Like Big Butts" on The Masked Singer, we went directly to Trump's national address about COVID-19 from the Oval Office. Really, I was like, wow, this one's a brain melter. Wow. This is a brain melter right here, just to watch this transition.
Wow.
Well, speaking of brain melters, and I think it's time to bring on our next guest.
Our brain-meltingly funny guest. Is she in the back room? Not to sound,
Yeah, she is the co-host of Unauthorized Disclosure, a wonderful podcast, as well as the host of Soapbox, which you have surely seen
or not seen because
social
it's
media
censored.
Feeds,
right?
Unless it has been censored, which she was today, in fact. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. She is part of the good part of the intellectual dark web. Rania Kalik, thank you so much for joining us.
That was the best introduction I've ever received.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Well, we just read what you had emailed us.
I'm like, just compliments of myself. They read what I said.
It was your official.
No, there would have been, if I had sent you what to say, there would have been more compliments.
Yeah. Less restrained.
The best person in the whole world. She's got great hair.
Rania,
you're an unimportant thing.
Well, one of the things is nice to see you again, but the last time I spoke to you on video, you were in Beirut, and we were joking. You were joking with me because we were coordinating our interview, and you're like, we have to do it during the day because if late at night my time, Beirut time, because if it's
your time, late at night your time, because I'm 7 hours ahead of you when I'm
right. But you were worried about the internet going out.
Yeah.
And
the electricity, I was
the electricity was going to go out, and then it turned out that you and then like the next thing I saw the day after was like a photo that you had posted on Instagram. It was the day of the Beirut explosion, and you had left your house because the internet went out.
Yeah. Well, I left the house because the electricity had gone out.
I keep there's
no, but it's like the same thing. It's like the same thing. The electricity had gone out, and I was like so angry. I was like, oh, I have to go find electricity because it's just like really hot in the summer, and I needed AC and also I needed the internet. So it's a good thing in retrospect because that's my, like the glass inside my house shattered everywhere, all over where I work. So I would have had some like nasty injuries had I stayed there, or like I would have just had glass in my body.
Yeah.
So
it would have made for a good show, though. I think.
Yeah, I could have like.
I wish
like
you know, in retrospect, I really wish we had done that later and live instead of pre-taped. Oh well.
Yeah, if only I had known. I'm sorry, Katie. Okay. Next time I'll try to find out ahead of time if the city's going to explode, and we'll get the highest viewership.
But now you're in DC, right?
I am briefly, and I'm going to be back in Beirut soon. But yeah, that's what's up. I'm in DC now, and I have to say, like, it's kind of nice to be here because there's electricity, but also this place is so messed up. Like, what is wrong with this country?
You're right in, as Lee Camp would say, the belly of the beast. And you watched the debate last night. I don't Jack, did you watch the debate?
I watched about half of the debate, and I think that was enough to get me to sleep, pretty quickly afterward, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Brandon, were you able to get through any of the debate?
I watched The Phantom of the Megaplex, the 2000 original Disney Channel movie with Mickey Rooney.
Okay.
Yeah, and Katie, I know you watched the debate and did a drinking game with it. How did you survive?
Brianna Joy Gray and I watched, and it wasn't a very disciplined drinking game. It felt wrong if Matt wasn't there to do it without him. So we just kind of did a thing where it's like each time Biden said something to the right of Trump, and Trump said something to the left of Biden, which meant we were like super hammered. But the best part I didn't see, because I came in late, but I just saw him Trump riffing off of Biden being in the basement. Did you see that part? He's like, I wish I could. I couldn't get away with that as president. I'd love that, being in the basement all the time.
No, Trump really, and I only did watch half of it, but Trump really just seems like, post-COVID Trump just seems like such a weak whiner, to be honest with you. Like, he is just like the magic.
Yeah.
Like whatever he, like in the 2016 election, like he was really feeling himself, and like I really thought he was a good campaigner. Like, as much as I think he's a fucked up and awful guy, this year I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I don't think he does either. Like, it seems like this man is just gonna limp to. Like, it does feel like the Trump thing might just end with like such a weird little wet fart of this like old man who caught COVID.
Yeah, everyone's like all fearful that he's like, not, if he loses, he's not gonna leave. It's like he has to.
And I think he wants to, probably.
I
think remember he's like, if I leave, I'm gonna have to go.
He's like, I'm never coming back.
There's a possibility. There was a possibility that he could like be really annoying and take it to the courts and everything like that, and they still might do that. But like, that requires him to like be within a couple points. You know what I mean? And it actually looks like he's getting fucked up so majorly right now, and it seems like it doesn't seem like he has any sense of how to get that deficit back, really. Like,
I think we'd be having a different conversation had there not been a pandemic.
I agree. Yeah.
I think
the
because
Biden campaign is like the worst ever.
Yeah. But one thing I noticed about the debate last night, other than the fact that it was like so boring, I almost fell asleep.
I know, it made me miss the first one.
Yeah, I was like, where's all the craziness?
Put the mics back on.
Yeah, turn the mics back on. But one thing I noticed was they didn't end up having like any real discussion about foreign policy, but they briefly spoke about like Russia, China, North Korea. And I thought it was funny when Russia kept coming up, because do you guys remember that Family Guy clip of like Lois running for office and she just keeps saying 9/11? Like, yeah! She's like 9/11. And the audience is like, yeah. That's kind of like what Russia is now.
Oh, that's a really Giuliani tribute. if I remember correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Full circle. Wow.
Yeah.
But all they have to do is say Russia, and everyone's like, like all patriotic and like revved up. But more importantly, I think it's really interesting when they talked about North Korea, how like Trump was again doing the whole thing to the left of Biden, but also like the way they were talking about North Korea, it's as if like North Korea has weapons pointed at us and is like sanctioning America.
Right.
And it's like, it's actually the other way around. They were like the threat of North Korea.
Right.
I'm very confused by this.
Yeah, it was really the only context we heard about any other countries, I guess, other than North Korea, was just with like who is hacking the election. Like they just kind of were going back and forth on like, well, actually Iran is hacking it.
Right.
Well, no, Russia's doing it. And I'm like, I don't actually believe any of this bullshit. To be honest with
I
you.
think probably all the countries are hacking the election.
I think so too, but I
mean, that
also
just
think that
seems
it's
like
just like completely, it's like unimpactful.
I
You know what I
don't think
mean?
they know
Like,
how to, honestly. Like, I don't think all this talk of like election interference, look how much money the US spends on trying to interfere in elections in other countries. And it's a lot of money, and they still do like a really, really bad job.
Right.
So you want me to believe that like a poor country like Iran has any understanding of how to
Right.
like manipulate the American electorate?
truly, what I
Give me
think
a
is
break.
closer, what I think is closer to the truth,
Soleimani,
honestly.
they lost one of their best.
What I think is closer to the truth,
Master of
honestly,
memes.
you know, with all
I'm
this
a
stuff,
big fan of
is
it.
that
I'm
like
right
you
against
buy.
Soleimani.
What I think is closer is that like people in these campaigns buy like click farms, you know, for social media purposes and stuff like that. And a lot of those click farms exist in like Russia and Ukraine and stuff like that, because like that's very low paid work that people can get to go click on advertisements. This is what they do for like web video. And it's just like part of how the internet works. Like,
Which is why they always say the Russians. Like,
yes,
they're
they
not
talk about the
specifying-
Russians.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
a
are you talking
person
about
in
people
Russia.
on? Are you talking about people like on Fiverr who you can buy
Right,
Twitter
exactly.
followers from? Like,
I wonder if someone on Fiverr was the one who asked John Podesta to click on the phishing
truly,
link.
you know.
I actually think like all the hype about like social media and how impactful it is bullshit. Can I say the
Yes, we can swear.
Okay.
You're allowed to cuss.
I think it's
This is the
completely
intellectual dark web show.
I think it's like completely like WMD made up. Like I actually don't think, and we know it was reported like last week or 2 weeks ago, but it was like with very little fanfare that like the whole Cambridge Analytica thing, even like the UK intelligence determined that it didn't really have the impact that they said it did.
Right.
Like I think all of this idea that social media is causing civil wars and like is causing everyone to hate each other.
Right.
Like those things existed before social media.
and,
Like
you
a
know,
lot of wars happened.
Some of that stuff also like really reeks of the kind of like the way, frankly, that like liberals and capitalists like bestow, you know, anything in tech with like a kind of godliness. Like it's like, I actually don't know if it's possible for Facebook to swing an election because it's just a fucking message board. You know what I mean? It's just a web message board. It's not that important. I actually don't know. Like, I don't think the data on Facebook is worth as much money as people pay for it and stuff. I think that actually a lot of like what the internet economy is like a scam a little bit. And so it's like, if I believe that, then also I have to think that like, yeah, maybe people weren't influenced by their data being sold on Cambridge Analytica and then being served like MS Paint memes of Bernie. You know what I mean?
I think
maybe
people
we're
are
just
more
mad at each other in America.
Like I think people are more influenced by like cable news or like what
Yeah.
they like. They already have opinions and they just find things that confirm them. Like in real life, like I don't think that people need social media to hate each other. And I honestly think all the hype about it is just to push censorship. Like a lot of the hype about social media is just so that there can be like a justification for like shutting down adversarial voices ultimately. Like it starts out with Alex Jones and nobody cares because it's like it's Alex Jones and he's crazy, but then it ends up being people like us.
I mean, just jump in here for a second. I kind of agree with what's been said so far in the sense that I think some of the, you know, maybe a lot of the fanfare about like the influence of Facebook ads with like Donald Trump arm wrestling Hitler and saying don't jack it or whatever, like sway the election is just like, you know, Facebook also has a vested interest in portraying itself as having the ability to sway people's opinion just from a marketing perspective, right? You know, obviously if you spend all day enmeshed in any community, both digital, I mean, either digital or in the real world, you find yourself, you know, being influenced by that community. It's not that deep. I think, however, there is an element of this that kind of, for me, as just like a random dumbass, comes down to like, okay, so what? Like, you know, let's say every country in the world is interested in some way in influencing the American presidential election. That makes perfect sense to me, given what America does at home and abroad. So, you know, and they do this through a variety of means, including putting ads on Facebook. Like, yeah, there's an element of that that's going to be, well, we should be diligent about digital security and et cetera, et cetera. But there's also an element of that which is like, you're never going to catch every piece of propaganda. So, for me, I'm like, but maybe we could actually work on educating the populace in a way that turns them into critical thinkers so they can recognize foreign propaganda. But in my opinion, part of the push to just cloister people away from certain types of propaganda into like just little bubbles of like approved news sources is that like those approved news sources are also a form of propaganda and don't want people equipped with the tools to determine that they are just as or similarly or differently biased than the other news sources that they think are let's say are more relatable as propaganda. Some of this for me about like censorship and propaganda and like conspiracy theories is one group of con men just mad that another group of con men is preying on their marks.
It's like Cher Blue. Cher Blue is mad that the Russians did it better than David.
Do you mean Blue Anon?
Oh no.
Blue Anon.
Blue Anon.
That's Aaron. I can't take credit for that. Aaron Mate came up with that.
Well, let's talk about Blue Anon and what they were upset about a week and a half ago. You see, it feels like forever ago, but the Beau Biden
Hunter
Biden.
You always. This is why do you think Hunter has such a complex? He's always a shadow. Even with Leslie, you won't even give him 50 minutes of fame.
Do you guys remember the first debate, the other debate where there was like the mics weren't cut? Donald Trump went after Hunter Biden, and then Joe Biden tried to make it seem like he was going after Beau.
So even Joe gets them confused. So but
that's fair.
The Hunter Biden, when that story comes out, Twitter actually stopped people from sharing the story from the New York Post, which is not the greatest newspaper in the world, but like it's established, right?
It's truly strange because listen, like it's like when conservatives are getting, I actually do think like when you ban someone from the platform or whatever, their personal account, I like don't care that much. But when conservatives like kind of make this big question about like trying to make this into social media censorship, you really can't make them right by outright like censoring a news story like individually. Like, it's one thing if you're like the Epoch Times, we're not about it. You know what I mean?
As a publication.
Yeah, that one we think it's fucked up or something like that, but to be like this one single story from the New York Post, which we still allow, that one is actually misinformation. It's also been very strange too because like it's so accepted as just fact that this is a disinformation drop or something like that, when the reality is it's like they haven't denied the authenticity of the emails. And like yes, it does seem shady the way that they were like gotten, and I do think Rudy Giuliani is like a mobster and all this shit, but also like authentic materials are like fair game. You know what I mean? Like if it's authentic materials, and the Biden campaign keeps doing this thing where they're just like, 50 security experts came out, and I'm like, well, what about you? Why don't you say if it's not real? Like, why are you saying that like 7 former CIA came out and said this looks Russian or something like that?
What if this whole disinformation narrative is disinformation?
I mean, well, I'm also like, and the thing that actually does like bother me about it, as we're getting into this, is that like Biden is probably going to fucking be the president. Like Biden is very likely going to be the president. And if this is like an indication of like the stance and posture that like the American media is about to take with Joe Biden, who's about to be the most powerful man in the world, that's like actually very alarming. You know what I mean? Like you kind of don't go out of this stance, you know what I mean? Just because they're kind of actively campaigning for themselves now, for him now, like, they'll look dumb if they don't keep acting that way after the election.
I'm sorry. I have to do some accountability here now. Garden Gnome in the chat, I believe you might be familiar with them. He says that you mentioned the Epoch Times, and he says that Jack lives by the Epoch Times and is just envious and lashing out. You did, just like Twitter and Facebook and all these other outlets, you did just like censor them right now.
I did just say that we should censor the Epoch Times.
No, he didn't censor them. He mentioned.
Well, it keeps showing up on my.
He gave them a bump just now. They
got showing up on my doorstep, on my parents' doorstep.
You did commit violence against them. You committed violence against them.
Sorry.
Them.
I thought it was pronounced Epic Times. They always pronounce it Epic.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh,
I
is it
love
Epic
I
Times?
love that you guys are saying it epoch. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start
that's
calling
just
it
how it's
that.
pronounced, right? That's how the word is pronounced, like
way.
epoch.
It's
I like
insulting. Sometimes it's good to mispronounce something as an insult to the word, as a way to be rude to it.
Right.
I mean, they mispronounced it themselves. So,
I thought you were going to get Jack. I'm just waiting for you to get canceled because you kept talking about the Hunter Biden files as dubiously sourced, and I was like, this sounds like an MSNBC guy.
Oh,
I mean, like I'm like, I don't know what dubiously sourced. I'm like, I think Rudy Giuliani got it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's Russian fake stuff. And I'm like, this guy is dubious. Of course, it's people with like that are politically motivated who are scumbags. You know what I mean? It's not like it's this story about like, oh, it was at a store or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but you missed the steps of then it went to Rudy Giuliani and all this stuff. It's like, but I don't actually care about that. The liberals are trying to like create like a sort of blurry space here where they're like, because the people involved, that kind of means it's fake. And I'm like, well, no. Like,
it's not fake, and that's why they're not denying it.
It can be dubious actors, but real information,
So
and also
exactly like Giuliani and Borat. Exactly.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it all comes full circle. Yeah.
I will say maybe I just have a low threshold for stuff, but I thought the entire Hunter Biden scenario in Ukraine was sketchy from the beginning, right? I didn't need a bunch of emails to come out proving my suspicions that something that was clearly sketchy was sketchy.
You mean what I think? You mean, Brandon? You didn't think Joe Biden's his son who got kicked out of the military for smoking crack? You didn't think he legitimately
had an expertise in energy in Ukrainian energy
in a foreign country and energy while he was
he earned that. What do you? He earned that position.
I will say
he earned $80,000.
I have such. It's so hard for me because I hate rich kids getting jobs they don't deserve. But especially after those pictures, I do like Hunter a little bit.
Yeah,
and
this
is the other thing that will
like
get
Hunter
me canceled
because that's what you want to do. That's what you want your life to look like.
I mean, of course.
We all see those pictures and we're like, I wouldn't be doing that.
Wait, what were you saying, Brandon? You were mid thought. You were.
Oh no, it's fine. I agree. I mean, I'm not the world's biggest Hunter Biden fan, but I think it's funny that Trump likes him so much because Trump for sure thinks that Hunter Biden is cool and wishes that he was his kid and not like whatever losers
they
he
should
was
switch
saddled
kids.
with. But what I was going to say,
he would trade Tiffany for Hunter in the
Don
he would
Jr.
trade any of the boys
Don
except for
Jr.
Barron.
needs a nice dad, so give Don Jr. to Biden to be like a nice dad to him, and then Hunter needs some tough love. I don't know.
Yeah, but the Hunter Biden Ukraine thing didn't pass the sniff test for me personally. Like just from hearing it on the offset, okay, this doesn't sound like good or like moral or upright. So the evidence that it wasn't that kind of like flew over my head. What I will say about that though is that it's frustrating for me as somebody who is interested in conspiracy theories and like studies them and like actually engages with them a lot to find people who will look at this information and will say, okay, you know what? Most people who hear that the son of a wealthy politician who is kind of a slacker got a like high paid position at a power company is, trading favors, right? And then evidence comes out like this and it's immediately buried, which only gives room for suspicions to grow and like darkness and conspiracies to spread and all
like for QAnon shit to start to come around.
But if there is a conspiracy, but there is like a conspiracy that actually happened here, which is why I think the media won't engage with the story on top of not wanting to harm Joe Biden because they all want him to win, is also the fact that if you're going to engage with the Ukraine story, then you have to be honest about the fact that while Joe Biden was vice president, the U.S. helped take out a government there and put in power a government that was aligned with Nazis.
Right.
Then the U.S. armed a bunch of people in Ukraine, some of whom were Nazis. Like no one talks about that. That to me, it's like as crazy as the U.S. arming Al-Qaeda linked groups in Syria, which we also never get to talk about or hear about. But like that to me is insane.
I would say even more, not even more than just arming Nazis, although we do arm a lot of like right-wing groups around the world.
It is our want.
It's one of our hobbies. One of our quarantine hobbies, pre-quarantine, during quarantine.
Well, not to interrupt you, Brandon, but I have someone on who we can talk with about this because we are talking foreign policy.
You're really going to call our next guest a Nazi? That is just awful.
We have a Nazi. You have a Nazi.
Nazi adjacent.
I will just say, just to finish, like I think even more closer to home, this is about like people in the media, people in the political media class. Like this is a story of Joe Biden self-dealing in a way that has become very normal.
Yeah.
And like if you attack Joe Biden self-dealing, getting his kid a cushy job, you're attacking the consultant class. You're attacking everyone's dumb cousin,
everybody
dumb
who
nephew,
wants one of those jobs.
Who works
everybody
those jobs.
who's in the mainstream media. Like
yeah, truly.
And so go ahead. Oh no,
Brandon, go.
I was gonna say for them, so they'll just hand wave it away. It's just like the way things work. But for people outside that world, it seems sketchy from the begin with, and them hiding it is sketchy, and it just allows conspiracy theories to foster. And all they can do is kind of like poo-poo individual people who believe the conspiracies or fall into conspiratorial thinking, even in the absence of institutional accountability, which is what is allowing it to spread. And I would say the same thing is true about like the media space. I kind of get frustrated with the whole like they're censoring Alex Jones or they're censoring any conservative or whatever argument only just from a practical standpoint. My solution to that, like internet censorship, is the solution to everything. We need a real government. Like we can't, I can't do anything as an individual other than advocate for Alex Jones to not be censored, which may or may not be a good idea at any particular time. But I don't have any power as a civilian to reign over Alex or over Facebook or Twitter outside of a government structure.
Right. And do we want Facebook or Twitter to be doing that? Like they're these good.
Also, I don't blame them. But what you're saying about conspiracy theories too, and like how people believe crazy stuff, like. It's like I don't blame stupid people for thinking there's an international pedophile ring because Jeffrey Epstein used to fly around the world with like 15-year-old girls and like give them to his friends.
And before we keep going, we don't want to keep our guest.
Now you're calling our guest a pedophile Nazi?
A QAnon pedophile Nazi.
But we have a very, very special guest. And then sadly, she's been called worse, but she is actually one of the most wonderful people I've ever met. One of the most passionate voices for left politics. I would not be here today if I wasn't watching her show on RT. She has done so much good work. She's one of the finest journalists out there. She's the host of Media
Journalists.
True too. She is the host of Media Roots Radio, my favorite podcast, as well as the Empire Files. Abby Martin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for reading what I sent you also. That was that was great. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, guys.
Thanks for coming.
So you've been hearing our discussion. What do you think about what did you think? Did you watch any of the debate? Did you check any of it out?
I did. Yeah, it was awful.
That's all. End of show.
Yeah.
But
analysis I've heard.
But so for people who don't know, Abby, you were directly named as like an influencer in the 2016 election on the side of Russia, even though I think at the time you hadn't worked for RT for like a year, and they just used your show as an example of like some kind of disinformation. And 4 years later, like it was the same thing from what I understand. They're still talking about Russia.
Yeah, 2 years after my show Breaking the Set ended on RT, the DNI report came out. It was supposed to be like this end-all be-all definitive report on Russian interference in the election, and it was like literally like thrown together by like an intern at some think tank, like super shitty, right? Not convincing at all. And really what it was, the vast majority was just RT programming. And it named Breaking the Set specifically as something that was fomenting radical discontent. And no, I didn't talk about Trump or Russia or anything. I was just covering third parties and covering things like Occupy Wall Street, because we know that RT was filling the void of the failures of corporate media. And that really was the threat to the status quo and the establishment. So they basically just said that this coverage was sinister and somehow undermining democracy in the US. And what's fascinating to me is that they just have the same playbook that they're leaning on 4 years later. It's absolutely mind-boggling that we still just hear the vast majority of the discourse from Resistance, Twitter, and all these people, the pundits, as just Russia is still doing this. Then, and don't forget Iran.
Yeah, how much?
And some China, there's a little China they throw in here.
Sprinkle of China.
Sprinkle a little China. They're like, we still want to go to war with them too. We still want war with China.
Like diabolical. These people are lunatics.
Do you guys think that it's that they believe? I mean, there are a lot of people who subscribe to this, but I'm always struggling, and maybe it's a Sisyphean task and a distraction, but like, who actually believes this stuff? Who like knows it's not true subconsciously, and who's just totally cynically? Like, I don't even know if Hillary Clinton and them, when they were like, you know, let's blame this on Russia, because what Brandon was saying earlier was like, you know, instead of like trying to create an educated, you know, society where people are like, you know, given the tools to think critically and engage in the world in a way that's not exploitative, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, it also is like, instead of the Democrats having to offer people things to make them vote, they get to just say it's all the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
So there are all these incentives, but I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about the psychology of that?
I think that they do believe it. Like, and the reason I say that is like, okay, so Iraq WMDs, right, was like this big lie, and they knew they didn't have evidence, but they just probably assumed it was true.
Yeah.
Like, they probably really did. They probably like, well, he probably does have it. Like, right. I can just say it, and then everybody will see. And I think it's the same with this stuff. Like, I think that these people are like sociopaths for the most part, like the Hillary Clinton types, the people at the very top.
Yeah.
Like, they have to be. But I think they actually tell themselves, they really believe these things. They're actually like paranoid in their minds. Like, the Russians are after me. Yeah. And I'm like standing in the way of like Putin taking over the world.
But then they also see it, they see this self-interested value of it, right? Like, so they believe it, but then they're like, let's also make sure to emphasize this instead of our own.
I think it's just easier. You know what I mean? It's like the same as that streaming service that died this week. Leslie can say the name.
Quibi.
I'm not legally allowed to say the name of it, but it's
see,
like
you're censored too, Jack. Like just like Abby, just like Rania.
I'm also censored.
Quibi's no more.
Quibi
they died. They died.
Oh no,
yesterday.
I wasn't even able to watch the new Reno 911.
Yeah, sorry to break the news, but yes, they're dead, and there's no like plan for like archiving it. So the show is just like, we'll stop. Have until December 1st if you wanted to.
They had $1.75 billion in investment.
They also had like a lot of really big names. I would be so angry if like I filmed a series and just
they messed up. But my point was though is that like them coming out of that, they're saying like, well, you know, it's a combination of like, maybe it wasn't a good enough platform for an idea for a platform, and also COVID. I'm like, so that is kind of what Democrats can do with Russia from now on. They can say like, oh, it was maybe that we went a little too far right on this issue, but also Russia. You know what I mean?
It's a way to like COVID as opposed to the
it's a way to muddy the water. You know what I mean? It's a way to be like, well, we could never tell. Like, maybe Hillary should have gone to Wisconsin, or maybe it is that there were Russians that bought ads on Facebook. You know what I mean? Which I was going to make the point as well when we were talking about Facebook earlier. You know, this is just another example of like Silicon Valley companies breaking laws that exist, like, and having no repercussions for it. Like, it is against the law for foreign nationals to like buy ads in America or whatever, and it's against the law for the American company that is like making it happen. You know what I mean? So if you even buy that Russians like influence the election using ads on Facebook, your beef should be with Facebook.
Yeah.
That's who we can legislate. That's who we can that's who we have control over. Like, you should be mad at the American firm who like allowed that to happen and profited from it, which I don't even believe that's the case, but like that is that's the way how it should work.
You know what I mean?
We shouldn't be saber rattling.
A critique of the individual. Like, not that I like Mark Zuckerberg, but it's never a systemic critique. It's always someone's personal character failures.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you guys were. Go ahead, Ronnie.
No, you go. You first.
I know that you were talking earlier about how this helps Trump, and I couldn't agree more. The censorship of the Hunter Biden story, because all Trump does is bemoan about like conservative suppression and from these liberal tech giants and all this shit. And it's like, how are you supposed to argue against that? Yeah, and what's crazy, as Rania pointed out, like all of the censorship really invariably affects the left. And when Google changed their algorithms after this DNI Russian interference narrative took hold, anti-war and left voices are what got suppressed, and none of that was ever covered. Whenever things like QAnon or Alex Jones, it's like widespread media coverage, which essentially legitimizes them and makes it seem like they're anti-establishment, right? They're really a threat,
right?
Exactly.
But really, like the leftists are just purged and no one talks about it, and we really are the threat.
like Black Agenda Report.
Yes.
My favorite example. It's such a wonderful website, extremely left Black politics that you just don't see anywhere else in our politics, and that was listed as like under foreign influence or something, and like limited on Facebook.
Have you guys encountered this argument though from our fellow lefties where they're like, well, they're always going to censor us anyway,
right?
So why not censor them back? What's your response to that?
Or what about how when they're like, oh, we'll just start a private company then. The private company can do whatever you want. It's like, okay, I'll just start Twitter 2.0. Good. There you go.
Or the other one is like, you don't have to be on Facebook.
Right.
You don't have to use Twitter.
But I'm talking about more of a leftist that like we agree with on a lot of things, and they think there's this also framing it as like if you're persecuted, then you get it. Like it's a hateful, racist, not that I'm denying that that these platforms do that, but it's like a kind of a non-starter conversation where it's like, well, they kill us and they censor us. So why am I going to get upset when their people have to be censored at some point? And it's like, you have to,
it's like a lack of understanding. Yeah. I think it's like, maybe it's like, I don't know. It's a lack of understanding about like the fact that ultimately the goal is to censor the left. And that until the left is in charge of the state, like you shouldn't support censorship. Once we're in charge,
once Biden wins,
censor who we want.
Once Biden wins,
and Biden wins, yeah.
Once
wouldn't it be great if Biden was what Trump describes him as?
It's the same as the Obama thing. Like,
Dude, that was funny last night during the debate. That was funny last night during the debate when Trump was like, Biden wants to give you health care. And he was like, no, I don't. I promise.
Affordable health care is a human right. You're like, wait, what?
But I don't want to give it to you. But I don't want to give it to you. I promise I'm not trying to give you health care.
No, it's the worst.
Yeah, I don't know, Katie, that's like the ultimate exercise in futility to just be like, well, like we're going to get censored anyway, so we might as well just purge everything. It's like, what are you talking about?
Well, there's also like it really, and this goes back to like the actual impact of social media is like, there's a certain segment of the left that really does believe that that the right online is like causing all the hate and division. And there might be some truth to that, but I mean, the right's always existed. Fascists have always existed. There's always been this kind of polarization. I really just don't believe the hype that like, that somehow now it's happening because of social media. Like maybe social media is like helping people reach more people for sure. But at the end of the day, like, and then like Timothy McVeigh happened before there was social media.
Right. Yeah.
George Floyd protests only happened after social media, though.
After Russia boosted the Twitter.
Well, that's Russia. As Kamala Harris actually. No, I'm sorry.
No, Kamala Harris blamed Kaepernick on Russia.
Yes.
Rice rightfully blamed the George Floyd protests on Russia. Yeah.
So, Rania, from what I understand, you got censored today, actually.
Wow, way to make Abby feel inadequate.
Yeah, Abby, it's been a while since you've been censored.
When was the last time you got censored,
your last
Abby?
censor,
It's a competition. So I actually, I interviewed Anya Parampil from the Gray Zone. She's in Bolivia and she was covering the election. She actually had gone as like a part of an international delegation of election monitors. So I did an Instagram live with her today. And after the Instagram live, like there was all these right-wing, like Latin American trolls, like commenting in the live, being like, Evo Morales is a dictator. He like supports death squads. So I think what might've happened is we did this live and then I tried. So I don't know if you guys have used Instagram Live, but basically after you do one, you have the option to then post it as like a long video on Instagram in your feed. Which I had Abby on last week, and that's what I did. I posted it after we did the live in the feed. When I tried to do this with the interview with Anya, I got this like really Orwellian message from Instagram that popped up, and it was like, I'm like paraphrasing, but it was something like your content is restricted to protect our community, like, or something like that. And I think that probably happened because maybe so many Latin American like right wingers had gone in and like reported it as like abusive or something. That's the only thing I could think.
Abusive
Otherwise,
to Latin American oligarchs.
Yeah, probably.
Community of oligarchs. Yeah.
But the bigger thing is like, why is Instagram like, why do we need like a thought police on Instagram to protect the community from like harm? Like protect them from what? Like we weren't like promoting violence. It was literally just a conversation about the socialist win in Bolivia. So it really creeped me out that like the algorithm, either that or the algorithm didn't like we were talking about socialism. I don't know.
Well, it's
start a new Instagram.
Ryan,
start a new Instagram.
Yeah, but start your own Instagram.
Simply get hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capital and start a website.
Hey,
Facebook bought Instagram because they couldn't start their own Instagram. They just like pay like
it just is like silly. The blocking the Hunter Biden story, especially, is just like it. You know, you had such a good thing. Liberals should have just been happy with what they had going, which was just assigning Pinocchios to anything that they didn't like. And like that was working just fine. Everybody, for some reason, takes the Pinocchio cartoon seriously. And that is like objective fact.
It's so official. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just go say, what about your kids? What about Trump's kids? Like,
yeah.
I
mean, you know, that is the real truth, is that it's like this thing is going to come back with Hunter, you know, when Biden's president, if he becomes president, which he probably will. You know, it's not a very effective attack for Donald Trump because, like, you know, Jared Kushner works directly for him. You know what I mean? It's like it's very hard for you to make this in an election argument, but I do think liberals are kind of fooling themselves by trying to pretend like it's fake, it's not real, because I'm like, you know, Republicans are going to still exist after this election. And like, you know,
they're not, I mean, Trump always has the leg up in that situation because because
he doesn't care.
He doesn't care, and his supporters don't think he adheres to a moral code. But at a certain point, when you really are playing your son's a fuck up, your son gets unfair privileges, like that still will come back to bite you in the ass when your kids are that spoiled.
Yes,
somehow Biden couldn't even stammer his way to accuse Trump's family of profiting at the debate. I was just like, what?
I know.
Do you not?
Well, you know why? You know why? It's because everybody still wants to keep on profiting. Like the Democrats don't really like to talk about emoluments or anything like that, or profiting from the office and stuff like that. There's a reason why the impeachment was narrowly focused on Hunter Biden related Ukraine activities. You know what I mean? It's because they don't want to look at emoluments. They don't want to look at, like, you know, what if we don't want to talk about us giving our kids jobs because you know there's a Christine Pelosi.
Democrats actually believe it. Democrats actually believe that we have like a meritocracy. Like like these liberals they're like, I worked my way with my trust fund.
You mean they know that we have one, Ron?
Right. When my dad hired me, it's because I was actually talented enough. Donald Trump Jr. is a fucking goofball. You know what I mean? I went to good college. You understand?
In the chat room, Martha says what we really need is thought police on Instagram. THOT police on Instagram. I don't know if we need that either, but I mean we're running kind of long. We had a clip of Mandy Patinkin twerking.
Oh yeah, and the other awful celebrity video where they're all pretending to be naked.
But yeah, if we could get like, why don't they censor that? They should, those are the things that they should be censored. All the appeals from celebrities to just vote.
I want to ask oh no, Brandon, go.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I don't have anything to say. I was just saying I'm back, guys.
I'm sorry. Brandon disappeared because I called the internal audible without telling anyone, so I didn't tell him to leave, but he left anyway. But thank you for coming back.
Oh, good to have you back.
Say I overstayed my welcome. It was a little hot. So I changed my shirt because it's hot in my apartment.
Change.
Very nice.
But I've cropped it so you can't see any of my important bits.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask a question before we scatter, or are we going to show a video? Or
I think we're running a little long, so I think we can.
All right. Well, I have two questions. One is I'm just going to ask where everyone is on the election, what their thoughts are on what will happen, on what they think, what if they want to share what their plans are, what their recommendations are for others, and also there are all these people, all these celebrities, including Mandy Patinkin, who seems like a very nice guy.
But the funny thing is, he actually is known for being a notorious asshole on set.
Really?
But he's so nice. Yes, but he's so nice on Twitter and Instagram. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe he just hates working. Maybe
maybe he's irritable. Maybe he's irritable. Yeah. But you know, all these people who are like, not begging, but shaming people into voting. And I'm not going to pretend that I don't think Trump is a bigger threat than Biden. I do. Okay.
Right.
Sorry, I said that. But all this shaming, which first of all the people like Deborah Messing, like, why don't you just do it? Call people up and register them to vote, or like do some stupid texting thing instead of harassing Nina Turner. Like, is that going to
She's
get
online enough to
Biden
like go
into-
door to door?
I know she really should. But I was thinking, like, you know, people are like, it just takes 10 minutes. It's just once. I want to be like, I want there to be kind of like a raffle or like some kind of vision board of things that we're demanding of these celebrities. Like, you want someone to vote for Biden, fine, but you need to commit to blank.
But Katie, I mean, they've already done so much. They've like in
the video itself, doing the video, doing the posting, even deigning to be among you on the Twitter website is actually activism.
You know who's really done a lot? Remember the what was the what was the white privilege video?
Oh God.
Because those people are really doing God's work double time. If they do the white privilege thing and this thing.
Yeah.
What was the thing? They were like,
I can't remember. It was very stupid.
And the Imagine one,
the Imagine one. Yeah, the celebrities have been having a rough time in quarantine. And,
well, their production studios have all been closed down. They didn't have anything to do.
It's true.
Sit in their mansions and like live stream. And we're all in this together.
Yeah.
From their gorgeous homes.
Katie, I agree with you. I do think Trump is a bigger threat than Biden. But the thing is, it's not our responsibility as like alternative media leftists to convince people to vote for Biden. And the fact that we are shamed relentlessly and blamed for all this shit is just astounding. It's like, this is the fault of the Democratic Party. This is the objective. Like, you guys need to get Biden elected. You need to do the phone banking. You need to do all the shit that we were doing to try to get Bernie.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't have to deliver any of the.
I was doing a lot of work through March. You know what I mean? And then it wasn't our guy. So I'm like, you guys go ahead. Go ahead and do it.
There you go.
You win. Go do it. I mean, I agree. Trump is a much bigger threat. I also think it's very likely that Biden's going to win. And so I don't really fucking understand why everyone's so fired up about like shaming every individual person that lives in New York or California about their like vote. Like, I think it's silly. And also, and I don't want to even be mean to people, but I'm like, I also think it's really silly when like people that I know are media people in New York are like, you know what? Like, I'm doing it. I'm casting my vote for Biden. I'm like, who gives a fuck? Who cares?
So
like,
brave.
you know what I mean? It's like,
New York.
I frankly, like, I do think it would be, I voted today. I voted green because I'm like, I'd like them to get over the percentage thing to get federal funding and like, fuck it. Actually, I think it's a very easy election to vote green because the margins are looking like very, very in Biden's favor. Like, so this is as good election as any to like vote third party if you think that you'd like them to get federal funding, frankly. It's a harder decision for people that live in like approximately 4 states in the United States. I don't live in those states, and so I wouldn't presume to make their decision for them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that I agree with both with what you guys said. And I do think that Trump is, for obvious reasons, is a bigger threat than Biden. What I think is interesting is like, I think a lot of the vote shaming, the third party voter shaming, which I think is pointless for all the reasons you pointed out. I think a lot of that is more just performative. It's not actually because maybe a part of these people thinks that third parties could really spoil it, but I think it's also just they want to yell. They hate third party voters. They hate anybody it's like an authoritarian mindset. They hate anybody who's not like perfectly on board with corporate Democrats. And so it's like a performance for them where they just like to yell at anybody who criticizes Democrats and call you like a Russian troll or accuse you of like, supporting Trump or helping to get Trump elected. Like, it just feels good. It's like, I think Deborah Messing, it gives her like a high.
And listen, we're not above it either. Everybody loves yelling at liberals too. You know what I mean? It's like, let's not pretend like really the true
well, they feel the same way about us. They like to yell at us.
The true answer to your question, I guess, Katie, or, whoever asked why all the voting shaming is going on is because Twitter is a blood sport. It's a hell website where really all that it goes on there is people trying to like be truly vicious to each other. And so it's like, I don't know, like,
I think you missed my question though, with all due respect. I'm asking for us I want us to hold celebrities hostage and say that.
Wait, Kate. But before we hold celebrities hostage, we need to hold our audience hostage because we're almost at the end of the show. I said, if you enjoyed the
Correct.
show,
Well,
and you haven't paid, please check out Littlefield on Venmo at Littlefield NYC. Please donate. It will support us, support our guests, support the venue, and support Make the Road NYC, a great charity. So if before we finish up, if you could check out, if you enjoyed the show so far, please donate at Littlefield NYC on Venmo.
Yeah.
And one quick shout out, we're doing Media Roots Radio live show the October 30th at 2 p.m. Check it out.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
First live show.
Oh, but Katie, I'm sorry for that.
Oh wow.
I want to answer Katie's question about celebrities. You want to know what we should make.
I want an ask.
Do?
I want an ask.
I have an ask. I want them to redistribute their wealth.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I want them to vow to something. I want them to vow to press Biden, to push Biden to go for the Green New Deal. Everyone seems to like that. They all pretend that they like the squad. So why don't I want I want them to write an open letter demanding that Joe Biden embrace the Green New Deal and Medicare for all. So who do we want to sign the letter? Because if they don't all sign it, doesn't count. So we got Deborah Messing. Who else?
You need to have Mark Hamill, sadly.
Bradley
Mark
Whitford.
Hamill.
Bradley
sadly.
Whitford, is that his
Bradley
name?
Whitford is a very bad one.
So very good. Right. Who else?
You need your Patton Oswalt on there, who's gotten very lib.
Mandy Patinkin.
Oh, Dana Gould is a very bad poster. Dana Gould is an exceedingly bad Xer poster.
I'm sorry, Kay. I have to say, I will accept nothing other than ultimate surrender. All of them have to give up all their money, all their mansions, all their bunkers, all their yachts. And I would consider
this is why we can't have nice things.
Supporting. No, yeah. Or I'll even make it simple for you. If Deborah Messing donates $10,000 to Littlefield NYC, I will vote for Joe Biden.
Wow!
Oh my God, $10,000,
and that's in Virginia too. That's a Virginia vote.
Yeah, this is a swing state.
That's a high. That's a high value.
So wait,
vote
I
right
do have
there.
an ask. I have a one that more directly impacts me, so it's a selfish one.
That's fine.
Either or both. Actually, I'm going to go for both because why not? Forgive my student loans and give me free healthcare.
Oh yeah.
Too much.
Just for you, Rania. Just for you, Rania.
For everyone. For everyone.
Everyone.
That's
Okay.
like a selfish,
Okay.
It's like a very selfish.
Would you settle for just for you? Just for you? Would you
Yeah.
settle? For
100%. 100%. I will vote if you vote for Joe Biden. If you pay off my
guys,
student
I'm
loans.
trying to own the libs. I'm literally trying to own the libs because if I'm asking them to do a change.org petition calling on Biden to push for a Green New Deal and Medicare for all, they can't dismiss that the way they're dismissing 10th. Well, Leslie's.
Well, you have to wait until like right after the election because until then they're going to say you're helping Trump and why are you helping Trump?
Yeah.
Well, if they sign, no, they need to write that letter saying that when Biden is president, we will hold his feet to the fire. We demand Medicare for all and Green New Deal. We demand our progressive.
But you know, at the end of the day, they don't have any power over Biden. The people who have power over Biden are like corporate or like health insurance executives.
SKDK.
We have
It's
a real
like the
moment.
folks.
Okay, I'm gonna have to tape this on my own and get you guys.
Yeah, Biden
I
ain't
understand
moving
what you're
left.
saying. I understand what
Thank
you're
you,
saying.
Leslie.
Katie. I
Please,
understand.
you're in the business of you're a showman.
You know,
You're in
I
the
understand what
showmanship.
Katie's saying, but to be honest with you, I think that these people are just actually not progressives, and they're
Yeah,
like
so let's
they're
embarrass
just
them into
they're
admitting
conservatives.
that.
Oh,
They're-
yeah.
So embarrass
you
them
know,
into admitting that.
I've tried my best for a very long time. There's no shame. There's no shame.
Okay.
There's no
All right,
shame.
we're gonna get it working. Maybe we need to still work out the kinks, get the messaging together. But Katie, I think you have a good idea there.
Thank
if
you.
we can get a pledge just to embarrass
A pledge.
pledge.
Either embarrass or influence in the right direction.
The
I'm happy
Alyssa
with either of
Milano
those.
pledge.
Yeah.
The Alyssa Milano. Sign the Alyssa Milano pledge today.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We're running out of time. So I want to thank all our guests and give you all a chance to tell people where they can find you. Thank you so much, Brandon Sutton from the Discourse. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you?
Brandon can be found.
He's like playing a video game.
Yeah, get ready. Can you hear
You might be
me?
watching Dragon Ball Z.
You may be watching Dragon Ball
He
Z.
may be watching Dragon Ball Z at this point.
That is
Oh no, I
really
think they
funny.
got him. I think they maybe.
Oh wow, they
Oh,
got
no.
me.
There we
They,
are. We got you.
twice in one show, and it was going so well. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Pretty Bad Lefty. It's spelled how it sounds, I suppose. Depending on how good you are at spelling or listening. Really PrettyBadLefty. I know how to spell all things. It's the order that got me. And you can listen to my podcast, The Discourse, on all the major podcast platforms, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes. I don't know any celebrities to demand anything from, but like I'd like a Dead Like Me reboot. If they could make that work, that'd be good. So.
All right. And Rania, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you?
So people can find me on Twitter at Rania Kalik. And then also I host videos for the Soapbox, which you can follow on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok recently, which I'm pretending I'm like 10 years younger than I am and trying to do.
You have to teach me. You have to give me a tutorial. I don't know how to do
You would
that.
be really good at it. You would
Win
be really
over
good
the
at it.
teens.
What's really annoying about TikTok is like people get mad when your videos do well if you're not 19. They're like, you're too old to be
What
on
is
here.
this
What are you
old doing on here?
I'm like, I'm literally like in my early 30s. I think I'm pretty young. But anyways, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Mostly Twitter. I'm really loud on Twitter.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me on, you guys. This was actually
thank you
really
so
fun.
much for
Thanks
joining.
for coming. Yeah.
Thank you. And Abby, where can people find you? Thank you so much.
Media Roots Radio on all podcast platforms and Empire Files on YouTube until we get censored off there.
Yes.
And Twitter at Abby Martin. Thanks so much, y'all. It was really fun.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
you
for
so
coming
much.
on.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching the show. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jack. Thank you all to all our guests. Thank you to Littlefield NYC. You can still hit them up on Venmo at Littlefield NYC. Make sure to tell them Struggle Session sent you. Thank you to all the fans for checking us out. We will be doing this again. Thank you. Have a good day.
And
Have a good
also,
night.
just for people who don't know, in case we're, not everyone knows everyone's audiences. So you
Oh,
can
yes.
see me and you can see you guys. Here, go. You guys.
Yeah. You can check a Struggle Session out at sesh.plus, sesh.plus. We talk about movies, pop culture, and politics. And Katie?
Katie Halper Show, which is a podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud, but also I'm doing a live stream now, which is at YouTube. So at the YouTubes, I sound like Bernie Sanders. Go to YouTube. Joe, go to YouTube. YouTube.com/the Katie Halper Show, where you can subscribe and like and share and all that jazz. And I'm KT Halps, letter K, letter T, HALPS on the Twitters.
All right. Thank you.
See you later, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Littlefield.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.